Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of the Journey Hub. We have a very special guest with us. He's a 25-year-old veteran in this industry. He has worked across agencies in public relation, in media, in strategy. And right now, he is the program coordinator at Seneca College of Social Media Program. And he is also the vice president and CIO of company Anamorphic. So I welcome you, Bill, on behalf of the Journey podcast, the Journey Hub.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you, and it will be a fun talk. I'm pretty sure about that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you so much for joining us today. And we just have a couple of questions for you, and hopefully the answers on these questions will have our audience to understand your journey and will help them in their journey in the future.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, so I'll start. So we all know, and I'm just starting my career too, and I'm really happy where I'm at right now, and I'm just lucky to be at Anamorphic working with you. But for a lot of people right now, when they start their career, and after some time, they have this phrase, I wish I had this, I wish I had this at that time. What's it for you? What is the one thing that you wish you had, or you wish you've known when you started your career?
I think it's probably, and this might be true for everybody who's starting up, in a career, is that you wish you had experience. And the one thing that none of us really enjoys is failing, right? Or having to learn something through failure. So I think I wish I had known a lot of things back then. I wish I had known how capable I was. I wish I had taken, more risks. I thought about taking risks differently. I wish that I had accumulated more knowledge. But these are in many ways things that we don't have any control over. So. But if I was thinking about this from a coming out of school standpoint, I think one of the things that I wish that I had was a better business sense, or had some training that was centered around the business that I was going to be working in. And as an entrepreneur, I think I probably spent a lot of my time kind of learning by trial and error, rather than with proper training in some of the business aspects of operating my first business. So that's maybe a nice thing on the wish list, but you can't always have all of the things, right?
That's very true. And actually, for everyone, I think even when you're trying to get into industry, it's like a circle that you're going on, and like you can get experience without experience, and you can be maybe successful the first time because you don't have enough training, or you don't know something.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree on that, and I think we all go through this, and it's a different journey for everyone. But in the end of the day, for most of us, hopefully it's very successful.
Yeah. And I guess just to layer onto that, I mean, I think some of the things that help people be successful in not just in marketing and public relations, but also in any industry, is that if you have sort of a natural curiosity about things, then that is what actually helps to propel you into your role and advancing your role, regardless of what it is.
It's quite, it's really interesting the way that you told that, working across industries, and then how is it important to have the experience when you need to get into the industry, and people, find it hard. And talking about that, and you have worked in industry for so many years, I am pretty sure that, you have had very good taste of success. But I want to know for the audience that what was that, one thing, or you say, that learning phase that you had the failure, and what did you learn from that failure?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say I don't tend to characterize experiences as having successes or failures, in as much as, how do you manage through different issues, right? So, if I think about, I guess if I was going to chalk up my failures, I would say that there's, you could characterize them as many. because anytime that we're learning something and we're not successful right away, that's a kind of a failure. But I think that when I think about how we adapt as individuals, so, we're talking about a journey today and what a journey looks like. I think the thing I'm struck by the most is that you have to be pragmatic in how you address the things that seem like they might be defeats. So I've had financial defeats, I've had academic defeats, I've had business defeats, things that didn't go well with clients and things like that. But those are all moments in time. And I'm not trying to skirt your question by answering it this way, but I don't think that there was, for me, that there was ever like a pivotal moment where something went so horrendously bad that I had to change the way that I did things altogether. It was usually delivered in little increments. And I think the way to address those is by paying attention to when things don't look like they're going quite the way that you want them to. So I think I feel pretty confident and comfortable saying that I don't think I've ever really had a failure in the sense, because if I had failed, I would have given up on something. I'm pretty tenacious, and I think that the tenacity is something that is a requirement for people who want to be entrepreneurial or want to get ahead in an agency setting. So you look at setbacks and you say, okay, you know what, this thing didn't work the way that I wanted to. It feels terrible. I don't like this feeling. What am I going to do to change the way that that looks moving forward? And I think that that's if I was going to, dispense advice to people who are starting their careers, that would be the one thing that is, that maybe stands out to me as being a virtue, that if you don't have it, then you should find it within yourself.
That's so nice of you about telling that you should do something that you love. I personally think that, I have met people that really don't think that they're not certain of that thing that they're doing. They are certain that they love it. So it's really, really great to meet people who love what they do, and being pragmatic. I second every sentence that you have, spoken right away. And it's really great that you personally feel that you haven't had any failure, because people must not regret what they have done. If they regret, then they have done something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it's, I mean, there's bad days for everybody. I've had bad days. I've had really bad days, but they're that long in life, right? Life is this long. You got to figure out what you're going to do to fill up all of that time. And, I think a positive attitude can go a long way to sort of turning some of those negatives around, for sure.
And that's actually a great approach to things. And sometimes it takes quite some time to understand that something is going wrong in your life, or you don't like something, or it's time to change. And for a lot of people, like you're staying in a lot of people staying in the jobs they don't love, and they're going to be there like for 30 years. And they will be afraid of that change, and understanding that something is wrong and some actions should be really applied to this case. But yeah, that's great to hear that you love what you do. And that's great approach in this case, an evaluation of everything that you're doing in your life and just moving positively with things.
I think part of doing what you love is also being in the right place with the right people, right? We can all have, experiences or training in certain areas. And, if you work in a miserable work environment, that's going to transcend everything about, even if you're passionate about something, it can sort of suck the passion out of it. And we've all worked in places that are like that, for sure. And to me, that's the thing. It's like, if you see danger signs like that, that's the time when you say, look, it's not the right fit or whatever. I want to make sure that I'm happy doing what I do. And you got to find like the right place that's going to help you do that. You have to find that nurturing environment, and it's different for everybody. I wouldn't suggest that, that our business is that perfect fit for everybody, but also other places aren't perfect fits for everybody. It's about finding like the right chemistries and all those other components to sort of make it really work.
That's very true. And just wanted to give a quick comment on that I think I found the right fit for me. And
Concurred. Agreed 100%.
yeah, very happy with
I would
what I
second
get.
That we're both happy then.
those thoughts. I would disagree because the conversation that I usually have with Darina is like, it's cool. So I say, okay, that's cool. Like, and today the way that we are conversating, it completely defines that, yeah, it would be for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the shameless self-promotion. So
Okay, so let's move with our questions because time very limited
yes.
today. Yes, so what is like to be a professor at Seneca in the morning and actually being a CEO of Anamorphic in the afternoon?
Mhm. What I like most about teaching is that it sort of keeps your sensibilities around you. I mean, one of the dangers of being someone who's in the business for it's probably closer to 30 years is that you take a lot of things for granted, a lot of knowledge for granted. So, I mean, my career started before the internet and a lot of other things. It started before people had computers as a part of their regular work lives, which sounds crazy, but I mean, we're talking 30 years ago. We're talking about like the 90s. And what I really like about teaching is that it gives me a sense of how, firstly, there's a lot of great ideas out there. So there's students who know things that I don't really know anything about, even though I know a lot about social media and marketing. They have different kinds of experiences that come from different cultures, different places in the world, different uses of social media. So for me, I get to learn some new things while I'm teaching. But on top of that, it also helps me think about how we think about clients, that often they are in the same position as students, who will have like a small bit of knowledge but not a full understanding. And because of that, we can start to provide better counsel to clients because we have a sense of how little they do know. We don't take for granted all of the things that we think that they might like. And that's a common mistake. We start to use certain jargon or certain language, or even refer to certain kinds of uses of social media that they're not familiar with or even comfortable with. And so that teaching, I think, really helps keep me centered. And I'd say humble is maybe a word for that, but sort of understanding how others think and work, and just sort of appreciate where they're at is a valuable thing.
You know, talking about jargons, and you know I had a conversation with one of the program coordinator in from George Brown College. He came as a guest speaker in one of our classes, and he told that he has learned so much. He worked at KPMG as a digital marketing a specialist, and he told that he has learned so much from his students by through the case studies. That and he personally said that I every day learn something new from these,
Oh yeah.
fantastic guys. They are like tremendous in their knowledge. So it's so good that you're learning also. You are imparting some valuable things from your experience, what you have had between those years, and you're implementing to the clients also.
Mm.
That's like, you know, using the right resources at the right place.
Yeah.
So talking about the resources, I wanted to ask the next question, that what are those resources that have helped you during your tenure of these 25 years, irrespective of the fact that you have worked like across industry for sure. But I want to know that how these resources have helped you in the corporate world, and how these resources had helped you while you're teaching as a professor.
So by resources, do you mean the people that I'm with,
The
or
people, the channels, the maybe internet, like the resources, it comprises of everything. Like maybe some people might have helped you, the study material or the links, so the audience can get a leaf out of that book, that yes, this is the thing that I can take out of that.
Hmm. Well, I would say that the greatest resource that I've got is curiosity and chronic dissatisfaction with doing the same thing over and over again. So what that means for me is that is that I tend to use like a lot of resources online. So if I see that something has happened, if I'm looking at Social Media Monitor or Social Media Today, or pick any publication, um, you know, I love reading up on what's next. Um, and when I think about the sort of like the amount of information that is out there, um, I think what I'm drawing on some of those resources. I like the ones in particular that give you some guidance on about how to use different things or showing implementations. So I'll look at things like stuff by Neil Patel. I think people will look at content by Gary Vaynerchuk and a variety of other marketers out there. But I think beyond that, it's about my background is a creative background, so I tend to get inspired by visual communications more than reading all the time, right? So I like to think I've got a blend of sort of like that how-to kind of knowledge that you can get from certain resources online, but then also just taking in, like emotional energy and intellectual energy from art and creative things. So I would say that my resources I draw from a lot of different places, and I don't always know where I'm going to draw from. And I think sometimes that's just serendipity, right? So, there's specific people that I think have been extraordinarily beneficial to the way that I think about my business, and that starts with my family for sure, my wife and my boys. But then beyond that, there's some colleagues that I will usually draw upon as well, that I've met through a variety of different circumstances, just like how you and Dorena met. Then I've met people in the same kind of circumstances, and of course I like to sort of tap them for their expertise and ideas. In fact, I did that this morning. There was some things I wanted to know about the way that some people were setting up their Google dashboards. So I know what I'm doing, but you always benefit by seeing how other people approach a problem as well, because it's just another way of solving something, and we can always glean from others in those kinds of circumstances. I think the one thing I would hit on there, though, when we talk about resources, particularly when we talk about people resources, is there has to be like a mindset of being transparent and open. When I was younger, I would say that I was pretty guarded about what I had to offer. Like I didn't want someone stealing my ideas or my secrets and things like that. And which is it's not a very mature way to look at things, right? But as you get older and you start to work with other people more, you can understand how sort of open dialogue and transparency can really help elevate everybody. It's not about like one person having more than the other, but everybody kind of rises together, and that's maybe the key benefit to working with others. I hope that answers your question, but
I'm pretty sure that it does. It's so interesting talking about, uh, from a stage where one is trying to hide ideas, and being a professor where he's imparting so much knowledge to the students, to the upcoming marketeers. It's so great, the journey. It's really how the life journey or the experiences teach us so many things.
Yeah, agreed.
And I would actually add to this that it's really great to be that person who have this, how to do this attitude, or like, okay, if I don't know this, how I'm going to accomplish this, or where I need to go to find this. And it's great that you have a chance to show this to the students, because a lot of people, when they don't know something, they're like, okay, but I don't know. That's it. So we all see it from time to time, and it's so important to show students there's so many resources are available right now, and doing, I don't know, informational interviews before you start your career, just to be able to understand what the industry is like, or just going online and do certifications, or find some, I don't know, chat and speak to different professionals. So it's very important to have this attitude. And this is something that will get to the point that will be a success for you, and of course for your students that you're teaching.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're so right. I mean, we have access to so much out there, and there's so many great resources, right? I mean, just the thing that I impart to students is like Google stuff. It sounds stupid, but it's the questions that you ask are going to return some good results, you know. And there's so much great video content out there. It's really hard to pass up on things, and especially when you've identified people that are like leading professionals who are publishing content. So yeah, there's certainly no shortage of our ability to know more and experience more in very short periods of time.
That's true. And actually, things are changing. And honestly, I remember myself a little bit going to the library when I was at school, but I'm not sure how I would do that now. And like, especially with COVID that happened, that would just be so hard for everyone to be able just to access information.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't really appreciate resources that are actually given to us. And maybe they're hidden to us and we're not sure how to get something yet, but this is definitely an opportunity to explore for a lot of students and just for a lot of people when they're not sure about something or not sure how to accomplish something.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yes. Okay. So, and next question, with COVID-19 in this very, very difficult situation right now, what role social media plays right now, just for everyone, for all the businesses, and what do you think how it will change in post-pandemic world?
So social media marketing or social media in general?
Just, I would say even let's stick to just social media in general. Yes.
I think that we're going to become increasingly dependent on social media as a connection tool. I mean, there's so many people, some of us have the luxury of working from home and so on. That's not true for everybody. But for those of us that are, I do think that social platforms carry a new burden, and that is to keep us even better connected. So, I mean, generationally, I don't come from, you know, the social media generation. We were there kind of pre-internet. In my generation, were the people who started, you know, the .com work and so on. But you know, social media is a little bit younger than me in terms of, you know, that it's sort of general demo. But I think that the way, look at how much social platforms have changed even in the last year, right? With some of the features that have been brought in different platforms. If I think about how TikTok has exploded in the last 5-6 months, even. I mean, it's kind of gone, you know, total hockey stick in Canada, right? I mean, it's everyone's on it or using it. And I think that it's just become an increasingly more important way for us to stay connected. So if I think about that from a brand perspective and how, you know, brands can be using it more effectively, it's about this is universally true anyway, but I think even more so during COVID-19 is that there's an opportunity for us to return greater value to the people that we're speaking to. So more than just selling stuff, it's which, I mean, I don't really believe is like the ideal approach for the use of social media, but as a way of generating community, there's I think there's a real opportunity for brands to take better advantage of social platforms in order to build up brand loyalty and to generate like truly authentic audiences. I don't know that everyone does that well, or even if that's where the mindset is for a lot of marketers or communications professionals out there. But the you know, the places where I do see it, people taking advantage of it, you do see a much higher level of engagement, because frankly, there's a lot of us that feel isolated and alone, even though we are in, you know, I can see you, we all see each other here, but you know, we're not, it's not the same as if we were in the, you know, at a pub having a beer or something like that. So the reality is that that using the platforms to generate greater community, I think, is something that is not only going to be kind of pivotal for brands to take advantage of, but it's also going to be the way that things start to look moving forward. I think that brands who do this are going to be rewarded for it. It means thinking differently about their content strategies on top of that. That we are the content, right?
Yeah.
The conversations that we're having each day with each other and supporting each other is really what that content is.
You know,
That's true.
talking about the content, It is really because of the reason that with these times everything going online, even the brands thinking of no billboards right now. Reason being how many, especially I'm talking about the period of maybe in April or May in across the world, not even in Canada. Like people were thinking they were giving the second thought that will it be like billboards will be more effective, and doing a couple of projects in my school like in the second semester for case studies. And yeah, so the investment would be less and going everything online, social media, how want to leverage it. And I just talked the last time with Sarah. She's the CSO at Mindshare, and we were talking about that how the investment is getting less, and how the marketeers are trying to use this kind of platforms or social media in a right way so that the clients are also happy. So talking about all this, you have told us and the audience so much about everything about social media. Before you go, I want to ask our signature question and the last question for this talk. That what is that advice that you want to give to the all the young marketeers like us, or all the recent grads who are coming out of school, that during these especially during these unprecedented times of COVID-19, that how they should look into the market, what are the things that they should do in order to get there in an agency or their dream job, or let's say in a brand.
Well, I would say a couple of things, and I'm probably just referencing my own experiences here, but one of them for sure is stay curious. Secondly, I would say be discerning about where you get connected and with whom you connect yourself. I mean, working for a paycheck is a terrible way to make a living, because there's more to making a living than just the dollars and cents that come with it. So make sure that you find an agency that aligns with your values and belief systems, and that you can stand behind, because ultimately that's going to have a very long-lasting residual effect on who you are as a person. And I would say I would just say, like, in addition to maybe being curious, is just experiment a lot. Platforms change all the time. The way that marketing operates is different all the time. Spend your time immersed in the platforms, and just be curious about them. There's a lot of stuff that goes on out there, and it's actually something that I impart to my students as well. Is that look, there's probably a good solid 8 social platforms that are kind of like big platforms out there. It's hard to know what all of them do all the time, but the best way to know how to manage those things is by using them yourself. And so even if you're not using it heavy duty, maybe you're not a big Pinterest person, but do something different on Pinterest, experiment with a little bit, understand what the business case is for it. And that's really the best way to make yourself indispensable in any setting, is to have that background knowledge, because our clients rely on us to understand what these different platforms do with a pretty high amount of credibility. And you can only do that if you're into the platform. Reading about it's not going to do it. You have to do it to know it, right?
Yeah, and that's actually true. And I would say experimenting with different things, and especially when you're on social media, you can kind of come to a job when you know only about social media because you read like articles and things. You need to try yourself. You need to see how this content how this content is performing, and what you need to change. And just you need to be able to change and understand that your strategy may be not always right, but if you adjust it, if you change things a little bit, that might actually get great results for your client.
Yeah.
So
you gotta know how to pivot.
Yeah, and there is it's not. I usually tell my friends who are trying to get in social media, it's not math class and it's not science. When you have formula, and if you follow this formula, you get results, right results. But in this case, it's not, and there is no formula written for social media how you actually need to do things. So in this case, you're right. Experiment and be curious, and just, I would say, don't give up, because if you want something and you dream about something, that you'll get it one day,
Yeah.
but only by you being curious and taking an action.
100%.
I would just add a line to that. There is no set playbook for this. There's no set playbook for this that you're gonna leverage it and you're gonna use it. So, it has been so nice talking to you, Bill. Like, thank you for doing this. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and you're taking time out of your busy schedule and doing this. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I really thank you for coming to our show and imparting so important things and your knowledge to all the audience out there.
Amazing. Well, I was very happy to be invited. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure is all around.
Great inspirations for young marketers and for students, and even for your students who you have right now. And we are very, very happy that you had a chance to join us today.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a bunch, guys.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot, Bill. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Take
take
care.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.